Opposing gloves here, and today we're taking a look at ReContour. This plugin is still in development, but it is coming along, and I just wanted to cover some of the things it can do and also point out a bunch of things that I hope we eventually see fixed or changed a little bit. Fundamentally, what this does is it allows you to draw an arbitrary compression curve for the compressor. That's all it does. And you can choose the frequencies you want to affect. If we take this, and this kick, right? Not the greatest sounding kick in the world. It's the default kick. Let's go ahead and pull up the high end of this kick. So when the curve gets up here, I actually want it to do some expansion. And right now, right, it's also applying that to all this low end, because all that low end is a high value in intensity and in decibels. So if I go ahead and bring this up, say, hey, only go after like 1K, I can target just that high end. I can adjust it however I want. I can even have it act more like a gate. Maybe I want this high end and I want all the signal below this amplitude to not exist and everything else to be, mostly there. And you can take it out and you can begin to recontour your sound however you want. It makes these sounds that I consider to be, not so great, actually like really usable because you can adjust it however you want. Now, the only difference between a Waveshaper and a compressor really is that a compressor takes some amount of time before it adjusts the gain of the samples that are coming in, where a Waveshaper does it basically instantly. So down here, we have an attack, release, and smooth that give you controls over just that. And these can go to extremely fast values. If we have a very fast release, we're going to get a bunch of distortion because it's going to be practically instant when it lets go. And that's going to have a dramatic effect on the samples right after it finishes this compression envelope. So if we go ahead and on the low end especially, you'll hear this. That is the release doing work. We make this very quick. If we lengthen it out, it takes time for that envelope to come back down. And I should highlight the visuals here. A lot of effort has gone into these visuals. For example, if we take it down, it comes to this smaller view. So you can have it like in the corner. It's just a cool visual, something to look at. And while it's playing, if we go ahead and hover over any one spot, you can see it has in out. Now it's cutting off the screen for me here. This is one of those bugs I was talking about where the menus appear in strange places. I'm not sure if it's because I have a 4K screen. I'm sure some of the issues are because it's a 4K screen, but it appears in weird locations. But you can kind of see what's going on. You can see it actually label the gain reduction as you move across, which is pretty cool. And these are variable. You could give this more room. You could give that more room, whatever you would rather see more of. There's a drive control that has a pretty freaking huge range. If you're gonna mess with this, I recommend turning on auto gain over here. Now, before I play this, this is another one of those things that doesn't quite work all the way quite yet. With it on, you will hear a blast just as a heads up through on the first one, and then it will do it correctly. So if I bring down, let's bring down the mix level just because I don't want to hear that huge blast. So you heard that first one, and now it's working like it's supposed to. That's 48 dB of gain. And usually you want this to just put it in a region of the envelope that's useful to you. So a couple things about this. You double click to add a point. However, I have had one heck of a time trying to figure out how to delete points. I'm unaware of a way to do it at the moment. So once you add one, you better be sure you want that there. The other thing is if you click anywhere, you grab the handle to the curve, which is pretty handy, but sometimes I would like to be able to select multiple points and like move them all at once. Maybe holding control and click drag allows me to select points and move them as a group. That would be kind of cool. One of the cooler things in here is this morph knob. Now, I've had some weird experiences with this morph knob. It's not exactly been consistent. When it's off, it indicates it by being a bit darker, but you can still click and the mouse still goes away, kind of making you feel like you're supposed to be able to move it and that it will perhaps turn on. So if we're going to keep this behavior, I would like for it to just turn on if I move this, or it just not let you click it and make you click the power button in order for it to work, because that could just be a bit strange. When you turn it on, you can pick two envelopes to morph between. So we have A and B. And so this is our B envelope, this is our A, and you can move between them. Another thing I've had is sometimes my mouse, like if you could see I move my mouse actually moves like way up here when I click. So if I click and pull down, it's literally at the bottom of the screen. And this makes it weird to work with. I'd like my mouse to just stay here or visually stay on the screen so that when I move it, you know, my mouse doesn't like fly up to the top of the screen or and wind up in weird positions. When you come into the menus, some of the menus are very small. And this is, of course, probably because this is a 4K screen. But you can see if I open the menu initially, we get this modal with a black background, which is nice. So you focus on what's here, but it's so teeny. So that's an issue. But if you move it around, suddenly it's not in a modal anymore. And I'm not sure if this is intended or not. Personally, I don't think the modal is entirely necessary for this. I mean, it is nice being able to move it around. So I don't know if I'd call this a bug, but except for the fact that it's so small. I wish this was either resizable or yeah, I guess that's it. I wish it was resizable and bigger by default. Some sort of scaling factor would be cool. Going to the drop down for the presets, when you click it, the list is pretty big. I've thought about what could be done to make this like a little bit more easy to browse through. But the thing I really find interesting is I'm on the default. Let's say I want to reset this. I come in here and I go to default. This is kind of tricky to find. And I click it and it doesn't change because it's already on default. So what I've been doing is click off of it and then go back to it. Now I'm on default. It'd be nice if there was like a right click and then there's an option for default right there. And that would make it quite a bit easier. There's also this search category, which again has the tiny menu issue, but it's interesting to me that this and the menu dropdown are both things. I would actually think you may want to just get rid of this icon and just have it when you click this, that's what pops up. Because this is just straight up a better browser. Let's say that I've got a loop here. Yeah, so when you open it up the first time, the colors visually, it's pretty cool. I will say these colors, they hang around for a really long time. So it doesn't feel like it's mimicking the sound very much. If you have a high release, you can actually see the envelope drawing this thing. You can see it up here releasing. Bring this up. So let's say that we don't want to go after the base. We'll bring this up. We will pull up. And this point in the middle, this is one I might not have on, but I can't figure out how to delete the points. I don't know how to make it go away. I'm sure it's a thing. I just have to look into it. Maybe we stay off of mine. We can turn on the morph. And maybe on B, we can set it up to be more like default. This is another thing I haven't tried. I don't know if you can browse. I'm pretty sure if you browse presets, it'll totally change it. But it would be nice on B if you could have separate selection for where it affects. And if you could just go to a preset without affecting A, that would be pretty wild. So let's go ahead and make this a bit different. Just a little bit more chilled out. Oh, see that changed down there. It's those little things like that The where you click on the interface is just a little touchy at the moment. But yeah, more mellow, brighter. Honestly, that is a lot of the time. All I'm looking to do is interesting stuff like that for bringing up drums or making a part of the spectrum shine through the use of compression instead of just like an EQ. And being able to draw the curve like this is just so intuitive. We could get aggressive with the release and bring the smooth up. See how cool that is? That is so flipping cool. And so with the smooth down, you get the extra harmonic distortion, bring it back. So sonically, I think this is most of the way there. It's got some awesome powers when it comes to dynamic processing that most compressors are just completely missing out on. This has it. It's just fine tuning the UI and getting the UI to a point where it's really really cool and fun to use. Because occasionally, yeah, this things will move without you wanting them to move. So this is your chance to have some input on a plugin and hopefully push it in a direction that you like. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos and have a blessed day.